A natural glutton for punishment, I fired up episode 2 of With Love Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex's brand new lifestyle show, in which she pretends to be a cook, an expert in craft, and a human being with a pulse. By the end of this dreadful second episode, it is abundantly clear she is none of the above. It starts with Meghan outside. Strange, I didn't think witches did well with daylight. Anyhow, here she is, playing her latest dramatic role, experienced gardener. Now, Meghan certainly doesn't cut an authoritative figure in the great outdoors, having to acquaint herself with new substances like mud, which has only previously been on her face prior to a Hollywood photo shoot. She does bring something to the natural environment, though. Who needs pesticides or a scarecrow when Meghan is stalking the fields? It would take a brave predator to try it on with Duchess difficult. And the weeds, well, they just burst into a cloud of dust when she walks past. Now, today she's out collecting for berries for a children's tea party. And this episode is there to reimagine Meghan as a celebrity farmer, California's answer to Jeremy Clarkson, but without Jezza's work ethic, weather-beaten demeanour and beer belly. What she does have in common with Clarkson is his famous temper and sharp tongue. More on that in a moment. But suffice to say, she doesn't cut the convincing figure of a rural type. At no point do we see her sweating, out of breath, or on her knees. A complaint no doubt made by Prince Harry after a few beers. Now, Meghan's picking berries because she wants to make jam. Her speciality, of course, and by pure coincidence, something that she's selling on her new website as ever. How convenient. Now, one particular spread that she wants to make is apple butter. Why? Because it brings back fond memories of her beloved grandmother. Isn't it nice to hear about a relative that Meghan still likes, having brutally disposed of her ex-husband, her brother, her half-sister, and her own father? Sadly, there's no talk of Thomas Markle's famous marmalade recipe or Samantha Markle's elderberry compost, which I've heard is earthy. We're then treated to the sight of Meghan making coffee for the crew filming her TV show. Although showing that no good deed goes unpunished, she barks at them about how she had to get up so early for the shoot, so there was time to make a welcome breakfast for her star guest. And the star guest today is Mindy Kaling, the very talented and delightful actress and producer, best known for her stint in The Office. Now, I liked her a lot, but was it entirely wise to put Meghan next to an actual human being with a soul? At least when Meghan's on her own, on camera, they can create the illusion of humanity. So how often does Meghan actually make coffee for her staff? Meghan, as a generous and caring boss, doesn't really hold water, given the high staff turnover that she's experienced over the years, with bullying allegations from her time in the palace, never disproven, only denied, and claims that the royal couple's former employees have PTSD and call themselves the Sussex Survivors Club, not to mention one male employee reportedly reduced to tears. Hey, that's hardly a story. When was the last time poor old Prince Harry didn't cry himself to sleep, realising what a diabolical mistake he made marrying this grinning charlatan? And even on camera, as I predicted, the mask is beginning to slip. The pressure of seeming to be a nice person for more than 11 minutes has proved too much for Megs. When a friendly cameraman innocently points out that she's very kind for making him coffee, she throws him a death stare and says, "Hosting doesn't stop at one person. It's the spirit of it." Ah! Now, this to me is proof of how toxic this young woman is, when even a friendly overture is met with a passive-aggressive response. By the way, I probably shouldn't use those exact words. She's not a young woman after all. Proof of which, by the way, is the 7 inches of foundation caked over her skin. She was wearing so much product, she's beginning to make Donald Trump look like a makeup minimalist. Having yelled at a cameraman, it's time now for Meghan to make her egg frittata. And she produces a whisk so that she can indulge in her favourite pastime, stirring the pot. Something she did with pleasure in Buckingham Palace. Demonstrating that she's never seen these kitchen utensils before, she says, "Let's hope that the bowl is deep enough." It's episode 2, and already we've given up pretending that this woman knows anything about cookery or that she's in her own kitchen. and it would take a courageous person to try that egg frittata once it's finished. A nasty case of food poisoning beckons surely. She then proudly showed off her bacon cooking skills, saying that when she fries these rashers in the morning, she's immediately joined by 4 expectant and hungry members of the household, 3 dogs and Prince Harry. Presumably, given his increasingly diminished status, it's in that order. Poor old Hazza, left to hoover up whatever the German Shepherd, Dachshund and Shih Tzu have left behind. Impressively, Meghan did manage to cut onions without crying, though hardly surprising given that she comes from the planet Zog. And it's time now for her good friend Mindy to come along. Interesting name that, Mindy. Is that like Mork and Mindy? And is she a space cadet, just like Meghan? Well, it turns out that she's a very gifted and beautiful actress, which may be why, for the first time in this series, we see genuine open hostility from Meghan. After just a couple of minutes, Mindy, the star guest, is also told that Meghan got to the set early to make the frittata. She's telling anyone that will listen that she's had an early start, which may explain for her fractious mood. It's harder to pretend when you're tired, isn't it? After effectively blaming her guest for sleep deprivation and a hurried start to the day, Meghan then corrects Mindy's pronunciation of the French Le Creuset pan. That's a frying pan that she used to make the food. Mindy called it Le Creuset, which I thought was quite endearing, but ever the stickler for detail, Meghan puts her straight with the unforgiving death stare. It's Le Creuset, but I could be wrong, she says, with a gravity-defying lack of sincerity. Then Mindy is thrown under the bus for playfully saying that she likes Meghan's look. She said, I like your look. At first, Meghan pretended not to understand what she meant, but even a compliment about Meghan's wardrobe is met with hostile resistance, with Meghan eventually saying it's look, not Luke. At which point, either Meghan has left the fridge freezer open or the atmosphere in the room has dropped to 0. At first, lovely Mindy, who's one of the unexpected highlights of the show, is a little nervous about drinking champagne at 9 in the morning. She starts the session as a virtual teetotaler, but after an hour or so, she cannot get her hands on enough bubbly. Here she is, having a little sip. Then, I'll take another one, please. This is my 3rd, is it? Or is it my 7th? Did you know I love you, Meghan, and that you're really good in suits? Pour me a drink. Just make this hell come to an end. Anything to dull the pain. Proof, I'm afraid, that Meghan could turn anyone to drink. I'm not sure that I am going to use alcohol as a crutch whilst watching this show. After all, I've got 6 more episodes after this. And by about episode 5, I'll probably be on the waiting list for a new liver. Meanwhile, Meghan is on the waiting list for a new personality. But I've got no doubt that her body would reject it. Meghan's shimmering rage reaches a crescendo when Mindy makes another innocent mistake, calling Meghan Meghan Markle. Well, Megs responds.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and
so
loves it.
It's funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
Well, now I know, and I love it.
Absolutely terrifying. She makes Darth Vader look like Mary Poppins. If it wasn't for all the booze that Mindy has downed, she would have evaporated by now. No doubt after they wrapped filming on this show, she took an Uber and headed straight to the Betty Ford clinic. This show is getting worse, folks. Meghan Markle, Sussex, thought it would be good TV to put together a fruit salad, which she described as cookery, but which you and I would call putting pieces of fruit on a plate. This is a woman who thinks she's the new Gordon Ramsay because she's come up with the idea of putting dried flowers onto food. Another health and safety nightmare after the salmonella-infused frittata. And this is a woman that thinks it's good TV to watch someone inflating a balloon for several minutes. The only moment of levity in this entire episode, unintentionally, was in relation to balloons, with Meghan proudly announcing that she doesn't like blowing. There's a surprise. Poor old Harry. And poor old all of us for having to watch this drivel. 6 more to go. Yikes! How will I possibly get through? Send help by all means, but please, no jam. Thank you so much for watching that video. Well, there you go. We are 2 episodes in with another 6 to go. How am I going to cope? How are you going to cope? I'll definitely do another video tomorrow. I'm going to see how we get with these. So we'll have a look at, episode 4, episode 5. And if we've all lost the will to live at that point, then I'll stop doing them. But for now, there is definitely plenty more to say. I was really shocked by episode 2 because the mask did slip. When I said to you in the last video that there's no way she'll sustain this act, this pretense of this lovely human being for 8 shows, well, definitely by Ep 2, it's over. Because, I mean, this lady, Mindy, was a very nice person. And by the way, unlike Meghan, I don't want to be unkind, but actually an accomplished actress from The Office, which was a huge show. I think she was on The Office for 7 or 8 years. #1 comedy show in America. Really good actress. Comedy is hard. And she's good at it. So, here's someone with proper talent. And it really showed Meghan up, The first episode was just her makeup guy, who wasn't exactly brimming with personality. So Meghan got away with that one. But when she's next to anyone of substance, there is a problem. And also just the nastiness. Honestly, I mean, if you have a chance, if you've got Netflix and you want to watch that back, but the chat with the crew when she glares at him and says, hospitality never ends, or whatever the line was, or it never stops with one person. It was so passive aggressive. It was withering. And that's what she's like on camera. That's when she's filming. Can you imagine what poor old Harry has to go through behind closed doors? Well, we know about the staff members, but what about Haz? I think we should send in a SWAT team to get him out. I don't think it's so much a marriage as a hostage situation. But there you go. He's made his bed. He's got to lie in it. We have got 6 more episodes to go. So yeah, tomorrow we'll drop my review of episode 3. Once again, thank you for your company. Thank you for your support. My subscribers are growing. So I'm so grateful to you for, connecting with me, for committing to the channel. And all I'm here to do is deliver for you a few lols, okay? A couple of chuckles and lots of home truths. Because that's what I'm all about. I say it as I see it. Love your comments, by the way. Your comments are hilarious. And I think I'll do a special video, which is only your comments. And I'll put them up on the screen. So whenever you comment, it's very valuable because I read every single one. I often respond to them directly on YouTube, but some of them will feature in a special dedicated comments video. Yeah, they are properly funny. So there you go. It's been great to have you. I'll see you tomorrow at a similar time. Thanks for watching and big love.